Hi there, I'm Lee Williamson and I'm from Elemental Concept. This week we'll be discussing how to make animation much more convenient with null objects, how to use the puppet tool to make things squishy, and how to use the stroke tool in your effects presets panel to write on text. Let's dig in. So I was asked to show how to write on text as if it was handwriting. So let me dive into this technique. Firstly, you've noticed this logo has two different sections of different thicknesses. So the V is much thicker than the Elemental Concept copy. So we're gonna have to separate the logo into two before we can begin. So if you click on this square at the top here and drag over the logo, you get the V. And I've got Control-Shift-C on the keyboard, and we'll just call that V, and move all attributes into a new composition, otherwise the mask won't appear on there. And then just drag the logo in again. And this time round, we're going to mask the EC. Control-Shift-C on the keyboard, and let's just call this EC, move all attributes. Now we have EC on one layer and V on the other one. Now we're gonna have to use our mask tool, this little pen tool over here, to draw in the logo. But you have to draw it in the same way you'd almost draw it by handwriting. So if I'm gonna draw the V like this, I'm gonna go and draw it in like that. Click off and then click back on. And then I draw this bit, click off. Now I'm gonna start with the EC. Let's zoom in a little bit, and I will start to draw the mask bit by bit. Click off, click back on, draw. Now don't worry if you don't get the mask 100%, you can just go back and move these points around. It's fairly easy to do. Alright, now that you're done, you can click on your layer, and inside your masks are all the masks that you have used to draw it on. So we're going to go into our effects palette and type in stroke and drag it onto the EC. And you'll see an effects palette over here. It's already chosen. We're going to choose all masks because we want all the masks to draw it in. Now you'll notice these little lines appear on the copy, and that's going to be your mask that draws in. So first of all, we need to go into our brush size and scale this up until it covers everything. And then click off it, and you've noticed there's a couple of bits that weren't quite covered, so we can move around the mask until these bits line up nicely. That's great. And for some strange reason, I actually drew it on the wrong layer, so let's just delete that. So it was mask 1 and 2, delete that. Right, so it's only on the EC part. Now the next step is you can animate the start and end point. So if we want this to animate on, we drag our start all the way to 100 and our end all the way to 0. And we drop a keyframe on the end. And so now we want it to go for 4 seconds. Drag that all the way to 100. And now when you play it, it all draws on. You can also adjust your brush size higher and also the hardness of the brush. So if you want a nice soft edge, I want to go for a hard one, so I'll just go all the way to 100. Okay. Now the next step is we want to do the same thing to the V. So I'm going to go back onto my pen tool and draw that first line. And then draw the next one. And we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to drag the stroke onto there. We can drag the brush size until it's as big as the V logo. Make its brush hardness all the way to the top. Click on all masks so it uses all the masks that are seen, and reveal an original image. Set that to 0. We're going to drop a keyframe there. Press U on the keyboard to see the keyframe that you've made. Move a little bit forward and drag that to 100. Cool. So currently they're both drawn at the same time, so we just want to move this up to the end of the V. That will draw in. Yeah, it's incredibly slow, so why don't we half that amount? Yeah, that's much better. And if we're not happy with the way our brush looks, we can also just edit this a little bit more, maybe make it a lot thinner. So maybe it's 13. Now you can see little bits that's been revealed too soon, so we can just go around and keep neating it up until you're happy with it. Cool. I mean, you can see little bits still there, so you can just keep on finessing until your heart's delight, until you're absolutely happy with it. I won't do that because that will just take forever. But now you've got the gist, you can do your own write-on text. Now my next question, I was asked, how do we animate on this burger? So the first step is to set up your file. So if you click on button bottom, there should be this little circle on the layer. If you click on it, it's a solarized layer, so that you can see just that layer. I mean, if there's a lot of layers on your screen and you just want to set your orientation point, but you don't know what is what, solarize is the magic key. If you press 1 on your keyboard, you can move your anchor point, and then solarize on the next one, do the same thing. Move your anchor point down to the middle, cheese, anchor point down to the middle, tomato, anchor point down to the middle, and so forth. Just a really great way of setting up your anchor. Now, since I'm not going to be animating in the background, I'm just going to put it to red and lock it on the keyboard. Now I know that everything here, make that yellow, is going to be the things I want to animate. Now, the cool thing is you can actually copy and paste positional values. Once you've animated one, you can paste that value to multiple objects, and I'll show you how. Click solarize, not solarize all, solarize on that one layer. P on the keyboard, right click, separate dimensions, because we're going to animate from top to bottom, which is your Y value. So we drop a keyframe on Y, let's zoom in with your plus key on your keyboard, and let's say it falls for, say, 6 frames, and drop a key down, go back to beginning, and let's drag that burger all the way off the stage. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this on the keyboard. If you look closer, you'll notice these little dots on the path all the way down. Now that is a frame for the burger, so notice how the burger lands on each dot as it goes down. Now currently it is animated linearly, which means it's at one speed, and there's nothing interesting about it. So strictly speaking, if something's falling from the top to bottom, it should gain momentum as it gets to the end. So we'll show you how. You select both keys, you press F9 on the keyboard, and if you look inside your F-curve manager, this is when it's going at one speed, this is when it slowly goes in and slowly goes out. Now this is known as an easy ease curve. We don't want that. We would prefer that we start off slowly and gain speed towards the end. And now if you notice, when I'm pulling these keys, more frames are popping up at the top and they get further and further apart until they get to the bottom, and that's what we want. Boom. Now the second thing, if something hits the ground, it's more likely to bounce up once or twice, depending on the object. If it was a bowling ball, it might bounce twice. If it was a golf ball, it may bounce 20 times for all we know. So let's drop in another keyframe. We drag in these little arcs. Now I almost imagine when the arcs are going up, it's actually the burger going up. So burger probably is not going to go that high. So let's make these a lot shorter. So it's going to fly in, boom, up in the air. And it's going to get, that bounce is going to get weaker, but probably about half of that amount. So if we go half the amount, hold down Control on the keyboard, drop in another keyframe, and just pull in those just slightly. Now you're noticing this one's not playing nicely, so we need to break that. So if we hold down, what is it on the keyboard? Alt on the keyboard. Now that arc is broken, so there we go. Boom, boom. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna paste this. You select all the keyframes, press Control on the keyboard and C, and Control V on each layer. Control V on each layer. Now if you press U on the keyboard, you've noticed I've put these values on all of them all. Since I was here on my timeline, that's where it pasted the keyframe. So first of all, we'll just paste them all at the beginning. So what you're going to get is, if I unsolarize that one layer, everything is going to fall down the same place. Now unfortunately, it's copied the Y value of that object all to the same place. Now, and well, let's just say we need to realign that. So there's a cool way to do this. If your cheeseburger is the next thing you want to animate on, we can go Layer, New, Null Object, and we can use our pick tool and we're going to pair it to the null object. So now when I move the null, it's almost like a folder. If you place the cheeseburger layer into the folder and move the folder, it gets the same positional values as the folder itself. So if I move that cheese up that height, it's now moving all the keyframes, including the bounces where they bounced in the same place. And now I can unparent that, drag the null object up above the tomato, parent the tomato next, move the tomato up, unparent the tomato, move it above the letters. Now parent the letters to the null object, move it up, unparent that, move the null object again up, and parent the bun top to the top. Cool. Now unfortunately, the burger patty, I'd forgot to do that one. So let's just fix that up quickly. Put down none. The burger patty, let's parent that to the null object. And move the burger patty up. Now all the other objects are going to have to be done the same thing, so I'll just put that to none. And all of these after the burger patty, I'm going to move up. So now all above, so I can delete that null object. Now everything falls in at the same time, which is not what we want. We want the bottom bun and then the patty and the cheese and you name it, all from the top to bottom. So we can offset the keys. If I drag this maybe 2 keyframes forward and offset the keys, and they should bounce nicely one after another. Boom, 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 boom. Now the problem is, you notice they're intersecting, so we probably have to wait until that bottom burger bun bounces on the ground first before the next one. So let's just offset the key to the first bounce of each one. Well, that should look a lot better. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, cool, that's so much better. Now we can take this one step further and maybe add a little bit of squash and stretch to our burger to add a little bit more interest. Now I'm just going to do this on the buns themselves. So if we got our bun landing over here, we can go up here and there's something called a puppet pin tool. Now I want the burger, when it's falling, to bend upwards when it's falling. So when I've actually added in these 3 pin tools, they appear over, let's press U on the keyboard, and they've added 3 frames, 3 keys where each pin pointer is. Now I'm going to move a little bit forward and I'm going to drop another pin because I want to record the original position. So let's drag that bun up like that. Cool. Now it's going to be like that all the way down because I haven't set another keyframe down, so it's going to fall down, and as it hits down there, that's where we want it to bend straight again. So it's going to fall, bang, and it's going to go straight. So it's probably going to be a lot shorter. Like that. Whoa. Boom. Cool. Now we could always make it bend up a bit in the air. So if we dropped in another keyframe there and another keyframe there, and when it shot into there, maybe it bent the other way around. So this time around it bent that way around. So watch, boom, 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 boom. We can always neaten that up a little bit more. So it smacks down, shoots up, and then quickly straightens out. Boom, 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 boom. And we can do the same thing with the bun at the top. So perhaps we do it this way around. And the only thing we can animate is this part. That's where I want it to squish. So I press U on the keyboard. Let's just figure out which puppet pin that is. Okay, it's going to go like that. So it's going to come in and it's going to hit there. It's going to squish up into the air. So let's take all those keyframes. Drop some more keyframes. And this time around, when that squishes up, we want that to squish up. So it's down and then up on those ends, and then probably squishes down in the center a bit. So it's going to go bang. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And let's just see how the whole thing goes. That squish is happening a little bit too fast for my liking. So why don't we just bring them out just that little bit more. Let's try that. We're just moving those frames a little bit here so it squishes back sooner. Boom, boom, boom. Squish. Perfect.